Hey everybody, happy Friday. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to Meta Market Weekly. I'm your co-host Justin, along with our other co-host Fernando. And the world just gets crazier every day, and we're here to talk about that and talk about a lot of interesting things that are going on, and of course our market analysis. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Fernando, how you doing today on this Friday?
Hey, Justin, I'm doing great. Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, like you said, right now, the whole world and the market is crazy. But, I feel like we're already getting used to it. It's, week by week, it's more of the same. But eventually, I know for sure things are going to get better. And on today's podcast, yeah, as usual, we're going to share our market analysis. We're going to share some news. And yeah, let me start by bringing my TradingView account to share my quick analysis.
Awesome.
So, okay, let me change the candles to daily. Great. So, yeah, as you can see right now, the trend started going down from last week. I was saying before, the RSI levels, which are this, they're already high. And when I've said this before, but I'll say it again in case some of our viewers are new or they're not familiar. The RSI is a tool, it's an indicator that tells you when an asset is overbought or oversold. So if you're new to trading, this is an incredible tool to let you know when to start thinking about getting outside the market and when to buy. So a couple months ago, we after we hit the bottom, we hit an over 70%. Let me go back a little bit. So when it's 70%, it means that it's overbought. And when it's below 30%, it means that it's oversold. So a couple of months ago, what happened here? We hit overbought and then it started correcting. Once we hit 30%, then it started going up again. So we can clearly see here that we reached overbought levels, and now we can see a healthy correction. This is normal. This is nothing to panic about. If you ask me right now, the cryptocurrency space is very healthy, very positive, because a lot of people are already tired of fiat currencies. And the US dollar right now is going through a beating. Why? Because as we said on a previous podcast, China and Russia, they're partnering up to create a new currency. Inflation is at all-time high levels. So the cryptocurrency market right now is on a very positive trend. And lately, there's been going, a lot of positive things happening. And one thing that I wanted to talk about is something that happened this week. That for those of you who are not familiar with Gary Gensler, he is the chairman of the SEC. And so far, Gary Gensler has been terrible. It's been like, I don't know, eight years since cryptocurrencies are available, in the US, maybe more, I think like 10 years. I don't really know. But he has not been able to clarify what's going on with cryptocurrencies. One day he says that Ethereum is a security. The next day he says a commodity. Then he says Ripple is a security. Then he says it's a commodity. And the other day I saw a talk about him talking about a cryptocurrency called Algorand, and he was saying that Algorand was very good and that it was not a security, and he was very bullish in it, and he was promoting it. He was promoting a cryptocurrency, Algorand, and then he backtraced and started saying that it was a security. So there's a lot of angry people right now. I would not be surprised if there's a lawsuit against him because he recommended Algorand to a lot of people. And from the time he recommended Algorand to right now, it's down like 90%. So it's terrible. It's just been terrible for cryptocurrency, for innovation, for the United States. I think Gary Gensler is doing a terrible job. And I'm gonna share with you guys a quick video of the meeting that happened a couple days ago, and he got roasted. I mean, it's just a tiny section of what happened. The whole session lasted like an hour, I think. But I'm gonna share with you guys a tiny clip. There we go.
I'm asking you, sitting in your chair now, to make an assessment under the laws as exist. Is ether a commodity or a security?
Without speaking to anyone.
I know you've
Okay.
repeatedly
It's
said
a
you're not
matter
going to
of
speak to
facts.
one, except you've spoken to one, Bitcoin. So I'm asking you to speak to a second one, the second largest market cap here.
And speaking to the tokens, there's 10 to 12,000. If there's a group of entrepreneurs in the
I'm asking
middle
about
that the
one.
public is anticipating a profit based on the.
I'm asking you a specific question, Chair Gensler. I said this in private. This should be no shock to you. I'm asking this question. Is ether a commodity or a security?
And again, it depends on the facts and the law, and if there's a group of individuals.
I'm asking you about the facts and the law sitting in your seat and the judgment you are making.
And so, Mr. Chair, I think you would not want me to prejudge, because I'm also.
But you have
here-
prejudged on this. You've taken 50 enforcement actions. We're finding out as we go, as you file suit, as people get Wells notices on what is a security in your view, in your agency's view. I'm asking you a very simple question about the second largest digital asset. What is your view?
And my view is if there.
Yeah, I mean, here's the bottom line, people. If that doesn't show you that there's a war on cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in the United States that is being perpetuated across the world, I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, the SEC chairman cannot make a definitive answer to Congress on if Ethereum and any other cryptocurrency is a security or it's not a security. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen, and this is why we don't play in this circus. This is why we've stood up against the SEC. This is why they don't. This is an attack. It's an attack, and they're playing dumb. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is directing the boat there. He is filing suit against every single cryptocurrency you could possibly imagine, every exchange, for no absolute reason whatsoever. It's because their power is slipping away. And it's just an example of this. And his predecessor is on record saying that cryptocurrencies are not securities. So there's obviously a alternative agenda here that we all know. And this is why it's so important to support the blockchain, support decentralization, and support projects that are focused on standing up against this, because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the SEC has no authority. And they think that they also can reach their hand outside of their jurisdiction and play games with other projects, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the reason why, unfortunately, because the actions of Gary Gensler and this administration, that every single good cryptocurrency and blockchain project is going to be out of the United States. And that's already starting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings me to my next news that has to do exactly everything with what you just said. So Coinbase, being the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the US, bringing over, I don't know, I think like $20 billion of GDP per year. I don't know the exact number, but it's in the billions. They're already planning on moving from the United States to the Bermuda. And the reason why is because these people are making it impossible for cryptocurrencies, adoption, technology to flourish in the United States. And the reason is exactly what you said. These guys are just playing dumb. They've had years to regulate. They have years to say what's going on, and they cannot say anything because either they don't know what to do or they're just buying time, because they know that the moment we adopt blockchain technology, it's over for corruption. It's over for printing money without having to show, the documents or, the accounting for what you're doing, because blockchains are transparent and immutable. There's no way around this. The moment blockchain is adopted at the government, it is literally mathematically impossible to be corrupt, because in order for you to change a login or any information in the blockchain, you would have to hack all the computers running a node in the world in less than 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and to change a tiny information on the chain. Literally, it is impossible, or at least it is right now. Maybe in the future when we have AI overlords, I don't know. Maybe then it will be different. But
I do not consent to that.
yeah, me neither. Me neither. I was just being, I watched Terminator recently, so it was being.
Okay.
But yeah, who knows what's gonna happen? But for now, blockchain is the way to go. We need to demand blockchain for our currencies to the government, and not just for currencies, for decision making, voting, all that good stuff that requires transparency. We need it, and not just Coinbase is moving out from the US. Also, Gemini is moving from the US, which I believe is like the second best cryptocurrency exchange on the US. And it's ridiculous because at the end of the day, this is technological innovation, and there's trillions of dollars in cryptocurrencies. And all this money is just going to leave the US because we cannot be clear and concise about the rules and the technology and all that. So it's very bad for cryptocurrency. It's very bad for the US. It's very bad for the dollar, and it's just going to continue to happen until we don't get clear regulation from the SEC. I don't know what you think about that, Justin.
I don't think the SEC has any place to begin with to be clear regulation on anything. To be honest, in my opinion, I think that the blockchain community as a global whole needs to basically self-regulate. We need to create a self-regulation process in which we set out guidelines. Because here's the thing, what is the point of regulation? The point of regulation is to make sure that bad actors don't come into the space, they don't mess with people, they don't screw with people, etc., etc. So we basically just have to set some specific rules. I mean, I take these concepts back to the original concept of the legal system in the United States, or in any country that is based on British common law, which common law basically is two rules. You don't kill anybody or harm anybody, and you don't harm anybody's property. And as long as you don't do those two things, you're allowed to do whatever you want. So here's the thing: is as a global community, I think we need to start looking at regulation, because here's the thing: is that cryptocurrency and blockchain is not just specifically the United States; it's every country in the world. So if we have this decentralized model that is basically cross-border, where you can be anywhere at any time as long as you have access to the internet, and you can be interacting with blockchains, etc., then we need to create, as a global community, a self-regulation process where we set out specific rules and we have a specific requirement. I think it's very simple. I think it's as simple as this: we bring together people, maybe there's some kind of blockchain we create for a voting system to vote people into this, to be on some kind of board or committee. And then that committee basically creates a process. Like, when you're a new blockchain, these are the things that you have to do to get through the self-regulated process. You have to for etc. You have to get a code review or code audit from a third party, a blockchain company. You have to have this much reserve in cryptocurrency if you're going to be a centralized exchange, etc., etc. And also the other thing too is, I think that in my opinion, the move towards decentralization of the community as a whole is really good, because think about it this way: there is a lot less of a chance that you're going to have someone messing with someone if you have a DEX like Meta, or let's say like PancakeSwap, where you are controlling the wallet, you're connecting your wallet, you're holding the funds, you're holding the keys, etc., etc. Because then it's a truly decentralized model. You're decentralized in the way that you connect to the blockchain, and anytime that you are playing because you are the only one who's choosing to play. That takes out 99% of the issues. The thing is
Yeah.
I've never liked centralized exchanges because we have the same loop over and over again. Oh, someone stole a bunch of money. Oh, the Democrats are funneling money through FTX to Ukraine and then back to themselves. Oh, there's some messed up whatever going on.
I
But
agree.
do you ever hear any story like that about Pancake Swap, for example? No. So I think that's the answer is we need to go towards decentralization as a community globally, and we need to set up a framework for a self-regulatory process.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
I agree entirely. Like you said, you never hear stuff like this happening to a decentralized exchange. But at the end of the day, I'm a big fan of having options because there's people like us that we think outside the box and we know what's going on, and there's people that like to be controlled and like to be told what to do. So I think that always the best option, a middle ground. If you like having other people being in control of your assets, then use decentralized exchange. If you like your freedom and being in control of your money, then use the decentralized exchange, and let people coexist freely. But at the end of the day, I do agree with you that centralized exchanges are bad because we just saw what happened to FTX. Everyone got burnt there. A lot of people lost their life savings there. It's just bad. At the end of the day, I think the centralized exchanges are better. But like I said, I believe in freedom of choice. The people should be able to choose whatever they prefer. And yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy what's going on, which brings me to the
And
next.
honestly, to even before you move on, obviously to
Yeah,
even argue from the other side, like let's look at this from the other side, from the actual, if you were a logical person that was believing in this statutory system and wanted the government bodies of the world to regulate, I think you can argue that you can't regulate let's say a cryptocurrency itself, like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, because they are decentralized means of finance. I think that the only thing that you could potentially, if you want to argue from the other side, regulate is centralized exchanges. So, like I said, I think I agree with I agree with you too on that. Where if it's like if you want to have choices, okay, you can play around in this centralized exchange regulated whatever with clear rules and guidelines, or you can hang out in the decentralized space that actually provides you freedom, that is not regulated by the government and that is self-regulated.
exactly. Yeah, and you have the freedom to choose what you prefer, and it's amazing. I think there's a phrase called it's eating the cake and having it. I don't remember how it is, but it's something like that.
You can't eat your cake and you can't what is it?
I don't remember how it is, but there's a funny phrase that it's like when you're in the middle and you support both sides. It's
Yeah.
like they say it's like eating the cake and having it too. There's a way to please both sides of the party. If
Yeah.
if you're a conservative and you want this way, and if you're I don't know, a liberal and you want that way, at the end of the day, I don't think it's appropriate for me to tell people how to live their lives because I'm
Yeah.
not
Sure.
but what we can do is find a middle ground and find a way to coexist. If you feel like your way is the best way to do business, go to the right. If you feel like the best way is to do it the other way, go to the left and just coexist, like whoever give people the freedom to choose what's better. But being like a tyrant and trying to oppress and saying no, it's gonna be this way, it's gonna be this way, it's gonna be this way. I mean, who are they to say what's right and what's wrong? They're not God. They're not, they're not. I don't know what they think they are, or they're not it.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's like this is the whole thing that comes down to control. I mean, it's the same thing that they did with COVID. No, you
Yeah,
don't get a choice on if you want to wear a mask or not. You have to wear a mask. And it's like, no, like you should not be able to tell me what I can do with my physical body. This is my physical body. It's not yours. And
yeah,
this is the problem. And this is because our world is controlled by a bunch of psychopaths who are, have this agenda of control and world domination, and they want everybody to be exactly the same. And I'm in total agreement with you. Do whatever you want to do. Hey, I don't have any problem with anybody who wants to have regulation or who wants to wear a mask or get a vaccine. I don't have a problem with that.
I
But
agree.
don't force me to do it.
Exactly.
That's it. It's very, very simple. And here's the thing, everybody, is that there are way less than of them than there are of us. And we have to come together. We have to unify. We have to use our voices. We have to pay attention to this stuff. We have to practice gaining knowledge and becoming wealthy and having influence and doing all of these things so that we can stand up and speak for our voices and speak for our children and speak for future generations. Because you think it's bad now, what do you think is going to happen when our kids grow up, if this is what we're dealing with today, if we don't do anything about it?
I agree entirely. They're just trying to push their own agendas. And when things don't go their way, they're just like, whoopsie, like you said it with COVID. At the beginning, they were saying that the vaccine was healthy, and then that it would give you immunity against the virus. And then it turns out it didn't. And then it turns out it had side effects. And then it turns out that some people started dying. And what happens then? They're just like, whoops, sorry, my bad. It's they can't just do this. They cannot force their agenda into us. And when things don't work out, just say, whoops, So yeah, like I said, I feel like at the end of the day, the best thing we can do is give people the option to go wherever they feel like going. If they're gonna regulate, if they want to decentralize, if they want to whatever, just give the people the option to choose what they want. And then whenever there's a drawback or things don't go accordingly, no one's held responsible, because at the end of the day, you choose for yourself and you're responsible for yourself. But if you want to think you're God and you're the king, you make choices and then things don't work out, you're going to be held responsible. So that's definitely not the way to go, in my opinion.
I totally agree. Absolutely. It's simple. It's just such a simple concept, and is simple. And that is the way specifically in the country that I was born in, the United States of America. That is the way that it was supposed to be. That is the whole concept, is freedom. You have choices. You choose whatever you want.
The country of freedom.
So
it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't surprise me that, all of these exchanges are leaving the US, because that's what's going to happen. Because, we look at other countries like Dubai and like the UAE, who are giving people choices, and they're making very clear, specific guidelines. And they're leaving the because they see it. They're smart, man. I mean, these are the oil people. They see the business opportunity in this. This is a multi-trillion trillion business. And if we just embrace this, it's going to be revolutionary for humanity. So, that's it. That's it. It's just the bottom line. It's very simple. And we don't have to be sitting here watching, Gary Gensler, play dumb and pretend that he doesn't know what's going on. He knows what's going on.
Absolutely. It's a circus at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But so that brings me to the next news. I just wanted to share with you guys really quick that Arkansas and 23 other states are already involved in making gold and silver legal tender, because they want to establish alternatives against the US dollar. And the reason why is what we were just saying. People are tired of this system. It's just generating inflation. A few podcasts ago, I shared an article saying that if you held $1 million 50 years ago, the same $1 million right now would have the purchasing power of $100,000. So that's like a 90% devaluation just for holding your money for 50 years. So it's ridiculous, It's crazy. I mean, if you want to retire if you want to stop working because you're old or just maybe have enough money, you cannot do it. You always gotta be chasing the bucks because the system does not work. Capitalism only works if 50% of the people are poor. The US dollar works that way, and it's not fair. We need to create a new system. I mean, we're already creating it, but we need new rules, a new way to fight these, I don't know, I guess, second side effect of having a currency, which is inflation. I mean, we gotta find new ways to live, to coexist, and to harness a financial system that works with you, not against you, like the US dollar or most fiat currencies.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, lastly, I wanted to share this with you guys really quick. This is a US debt clock. So we can see that, I don't know, have you seen it before?
Oh, I've seen it, man. And it's just, it's laughable. It's
Yeah.
laughable.
So right now we have a debt of $31 trillion in the US. And I say we because at the end of the day, Mexico and most countries, whatever they do, they're pegged to the US dollar. So if the US blows up, we blow up altogether because we're technically we're allies and we're under the same system. So it's not good for us. It's not good for the US. It's not good for you, for me, for our money, for our time, for energy, because this means that all that hard time we had working to save for a house or to retire or whatever, our money is worth less every second. And this is because the system does not work, and we need to create a new system that, like I said before, that works with you and not against you. And
Exactly. Like talking to Texas about Meta One being an official Texas currency. I love that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah, I think it's awesome. You know, the funny thing is it's quite interesting that this article that you were sharing about other states making gold and silver legal tender. Gold and silver is actually the only legal tender, and it is stated that way in the US Constitution. So but there's a whole story on why it is not legal tender anymore, and it has to do with the way that our government is now, and the way that it's run, and the way that it's actually structured as a corporation. And it's an incredibly disgusting system, and I think that the world is finally waking up. I see more and more people every single day who are finally realizing that there's something wrong in Kansas, and we need to do something. And it's really time, everybody. It's time to use your voices. If you've been silent, you need to stand up, you need to step up, you need to start sharing this with people, you need to start having conversations with other people about this. You need to do what you can do to support blockchain and cryptocurrency. And you need to use your voice, because if we don't do this, they're going to continue to do things like pass the Restrict Act. If y'all haven't read the Restrict Act, you better read it, because it's really scary. Again, we don't talk about this stuff to be negative. We talk about it because everybody needs to learn and understand it, because this is a war. We're in a spiritual war right now, and it's coming to a precipice where it's going to go one of two ways, and we want it to go the way of freedom. So
yep, we gotta face the music right now.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
Awesome. So that's all I have for you guys today, unless Justin, do you want to add anything to today's podcast?
I just think we appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to us today. Take or leave whatever resonates with you, and whatever doesn't, then don't. But just think about these things and use your voice, like I said, because it's just vitally important. I think about my family, I think about everyone else's family, and at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want to love and be loved. We want to have peace in our lives. We want to be left alone. The government is supposed to be for us. It's supposed to be advancing humanity. We're supposed to be supported with basic infrastructure, and other than that, and security, and other than that, the government's supposed to leave us alone and let us do what we want to do, as long as it's not outside of the bounds of hurting other people or hurting other people's property. And we're so far away from that. We're in such a control. And honestly, this whole CBDC thing and all of this is just bringing to the surface what's already happening. We don't have to have a CBDC for them to control everything. They already do. But it's exposing this. We're seeing this happen when Gary Gensler gets up on stage and, on a Congress, because it is a play with all of the different players having different roles, just like Shakespeare says. And he's acting like a fool, and he's not a fool. And they're doing this maliciously. So the only way that they're going to stop it is if we stand up together, because voices coming together of people, they change things. I mean, you can look what's happening all over the world, in France, in Israel, in Pakistan. People are standing up and going on in the streets, and they can't be ignored any longer. And so, I'm not saying that protesting is the solution, but using your voices are. And if enough of us use our voices together, and if enough of us say, no, we're not going to do this, and resist these things, then they're not going to have any control, because they look at us as profit centers. So if you are eating their food, their shit that's not even food, they're processed chemical garbage. If you are doing that, then you're getting sick and you're going into their system, and then you're paying for their health care that's making you more sick. And then you're using their other services, and you're sitting there and watching TV all day and all of these different things. And if you're plugged into that system, you are a profit center for them. But the second that you pick up a book instead of watch TV all day, when you start taking care of yourself, eating healthy, when you start being an entrepreneur, starting small businesses, and starting supporting yourself, and maybe in that small business you start taking things like cryptocurrency instead of fiat, or offering that option to your customers, things like this, then you're not a profit center for them anymore. They don't like you anymore, because they're not able to feed off of you. And enough of us do that, they're just going to die off, and
I agree.
if you look at the average age of senators in the United States, for example, the average age is 70 years old. These people are out of touch. They don't know anything about anything. And I'm sure it goes the same for your country, Fernando, for anyone else who's listening in any other European country. If you look at the average age of these people that are in office that are supposed to be protecting us and supposed to be, advancing, our interests, they're just all a bunch of old, worn out, dried out criminals who are literally running around and only enriching themselves. And we've got to change this system. So as you can see, I'm really fired up today, but at the end of the day, after that long digression, I just hope that everyone takes some action, uses their voice, and practice being the best version of yourself, because that is the true way that we can take our world back.
Absolutely. I agree entirely with you. And I was going to say, I recommend all of you guys that you're listening to go to YouTube and take a look at the full conversation they had with Gary Gensler the other day, because there's a lot of good information there. And you can see live how the SEC and Gary Gensler, they've been extremely corrupt over the last couple of years. So I mean, I don't know exactly what's the name of the video, but just go to YouTube, Gary Gensler, SEC, Ethereum, whatever, and it's incredible. I mean, I just shared with you guys a small 1-2 video clip, but the whole thing is amazing. You guys got to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, they're another arm of the beast. I mean, you see it in all of this. We're finding out more and more on a daily basis that the FBI is extremely corrupt. and has been persecuting right-wing religious groups and other people for decades. We have been finding out that ICE is corrupt. We've been finding out that the FTC is corrupt. I mean, do you think that there's any difference between them, and the SEC? No, there's not. I mean, and this is just the beginning. God, if we got into all of the corruption that goes on in the regulated regular SEC world of Wall Street, it would trump anything that's going on with cryptocurrency right now. So, it's never been fair. It's a system that has been set up in a way to actually work perfectly. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and someone brought this perspective, which I thought was so interesting, because, someone said that the normal thing, right? Like, this system is broken and it's messed up. And they actually said, the system is actually not broken. It's working perfectly, exactly the way that they designed it.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. So we have to change the system. We have to come together. We have to find answers to be able to change the system. So the system is working, but it's new system that works based on freedom, based on all the things that we just talked about, based on choice, basing on allowing humans to live the life that they want to live, as long as they're not harming anybody else. That's it. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
So
I agree.
anyway, I guess we should wrap it up there before I go on another tangent. But do you have anything to share before we wrap up, Fernando?
I guess just if you like what you're hearing, just click the subscribe button, give us a like, and drop a comment if you want to hear us talk about anything in particular.
Yes.
We'll be on the lookout for those comments.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. Like Fernando said, it helps us get the word out, and we appreciate all of you for being a part of the MetaOne family. And and if you're not, if you're brand new, if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, check us out. Just join the blockchain revolution, even if it's not with us at first. If you dive into it, and the more people who are supporting blockchain and supporting what it can do, the more that we can support freedom on this planet that is desperately needed. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.